You might hate me for saying this, but the reason you're still single isn't because you have high standards. It's because you don't know the difference between standards and preferences. And that confusion is blocking you from choosing good men. Let's get into it. Hey, beautiful. My name is Jumoke, and I'm one half of When at Love. And if you feel like every good man is taken and you have to settle, then this video is for you. But before we continue, make sure that you do like, subscribe, and you hit that bell so that you can get great notifications. Can't talk today because by the end, you're going to know why the I don't want to settle mindset is actually self sabotage and how to shift into a wife mentality that attracts covenant marriage. All right. So when I hear women say things like, I don't want to settle, what they're usually saying is, I don't want someone who doesn't check all my preference boxes. But here's the truth, you're not settling when you're marrying someone who's at your own level. If you're an average woman attracting average men, it's not an insult, it's just reality. Because we've been conditioned by social media and dating apps to think that we have access to the top 10% of men. But most people are average looking, with average jobs, living average lives, and we have lost what it means to be average. And everybody wants more than what they can actually bargain for. Okay. So, I mean, if you have, let's say, derogatory marks, and derogatory marks according to men, not women. Yes, we understand that God forgives you, that you are sanctified and set free, but men like what they like, they know what they want, especially when it comes to marriage. So things like past promiscuity. Again, sure, you could have come to Christ, later on in life, but if you're someone who slept with 100 men or something like that in the past, or you just had a harlot phase, okay, for lack of better words, that stuff is a derogatory mark to men, regardless of if you're saved or not. Why? And I know some people like, yeah, but if we're both Christian, everyone should just accept me. Think about it like this. I'm gonna give two examples so that women can understand how it looks, because a lot of times women cannot see things from the other perspective and cannot put themselves in other people's shoes unless if you give them an analogy. If you went to jail and you were convicted for murder, first degree murder, I don't know, double homicide, whatever, right? And you find Christ in jail. And for some reason, because of good behavior, you come out of jail and you're free. Are you now, or is anyone going to sit here and be confused as to why you would still struggle to get a job? You have that on your record. You can't sit here and say to the employers, yeah, but I'm a Christian now, so it doesn't matter. It does matter, right? Now, if you were to get a good job and someone was to give you a chance, that's grace, but not entitlement, right? So if you've done something in the past, you have to take accountability for what you did. I mean, again, we live in a fallen world. You didn't know, but it doesn't mean that it didn't work against you. Give another example, and maybe a lot of women can probably relate to this even more. If you have a man who had a homosexual background, right, and he slept with 100 men, let's just say, okay, he was really deep into that lifestyle. He slept with 100 men. He got saved. Now he's like, okay, I'm not gay anymore. I'm deliberate. How many women are going to be signing up to marry him, even if he is a believer? Most women would still hesitate, not because he's not saved, but just because that's just how humans are, right? Now, if someone did marry him, right, and said, you know what, I'm going to give you grace. Again, that's grace, but that's not entitlement. It's understandable why a lot of women would not go for this type of man. Okay, so if you have a history of past promiscuity, you can't now be entitled and be like, I deserve this type of man, even though I have this type of background. If you have children out of wedlock, a lot of women say, I was young and dumb. It doesn't matter. You can't get rid of children. That man is going to have to become a stepdad. He's going to have to, it's not just you anymore, it's you and your kids. He's going to have to father those kids. He's going to have to take care of those kids. What is the character of the father, right? These things will make a man hesitate, even if you are a believer. If you're over 30, and I know that gets women, panties in a bunch. If you're really not over 30, really just mid to late 30s and a man wants to start a family, and he maybe wants to have multiple kids, and you only have a few years of, fertility left, it may not be it might be a derogatory mark. Like, okay, well, she's a little bit older. I really wanted someone who's younger. Men in general want women who are younger, right? Women who are in their 20s, is why I tell them to settle their home, in their 20s when they have the highest bargaining power. Not saying, because some people are going to say that women over 30 and 35 can't get married. I didn't say that. You're hearing what I did not say and not what I am saying. I'm just saying that for some men, right, for a lot of men, certain things count against you, not in your favor. If you're divorced, and even if you are outside of a certain weight preference, we don't talk about this enough, especially in the Black community. These things can close the door to access to certain types of men. So most men, especially the higher up that you go, you say, I don't want to settle. They're going to look first at your weight. And if you want to marry a Western man, right, a European, someone who grew up in Europe or in the United States, the weight is the door. Right now, if you are in sub-Saharan Africa and the men there, they love women who are overweight or categorically obese. They like a woman with a little bit more cushioning, and they're, for the pushing, okay. But if you live in the United States and you are categorically overweight or obese, it does count against you, right? So then you really have to think the men that are at your level that are choosing you, that's not settling. You both are choosing each other because you both match each other as far as value and what you're bringing to the table. You both are bringing equal value, right? Like he is bringing something, you're bringing something, and you both accept each other. Okay. So here's where women get confused. I say this all the time, but standards is like the pizza, the foundation. That's like character, faith, values, non-negotiable, right? But preferences, they're the toppings. That's the tall, dark, and handsome, 6 figure, 6 foot, 6 pack, 666. Nice to have, but it's not, it doesn't make or break a marriage, right? And women who have a wife mindset, they look for the pizza first. But women who have a concubine girlfriend mentality, they chase after toppings without having a foundation established. They chase after men who are attractive and they like, but they don't treat them well. But they don't have great character. But they don't even have similar values. Why? Because he's cute. That's it, right? I remember telling my husband that personally, when it came to me and when I was looking, I wasn't like, I was thinking for who could get the job done first. I said, okay, your name you could be Ray Ray, you could be Tunde, your name could be Jerry. I don't care. Who gets the job done? Who is going to be the best candidate for me as far as a husband and the father to my potential children? That is really what I was looking for first. The preferences was really just pure grace, but it was an entitlement. Now, am I attracted to men who are tall and handsome? Yes. But I'm not going to put that above my standards, if that makes sense. Yes, I'm attracted to men who have these preferences, and I'm going to position myself where those high preferences are. However, I'm also not going to continue on with a man just because he meets my preferences and none of my standards. All right? Because when you first filter for attraction and income instead of character, you stay single. Right? You stay single. If you're just on dating apps and all you're doing is looking at the top 10% of men, or you're only focused on that, and you may not have access to those types of men. You might think you do because they're on the dating app, but if they weren't checking for you, if they're not taking you on dates, if the type of man that you have all these preferences for, oh snap, they're not checking for you, then if you're not your type's type, you're going to stay single. Okay. So you have to, really understand that you need to first look at men through God's eyes and not just your own limited understanding. Okay. So when God highlights a man to you, you don't dismiss him simply because he needs a haircut. Okay. Some men, they just need some grooming, some new clothes, guidance. These things are changeable. I'm not saying that you have to accept everything. Like if y'all don't click, y'all don't click. But y'all could click. It's just, oh, I didn't like his shoes, right? Like women do that all the time. Like, oh, I don't like his shoes. And okay, right? That's very concubine behavior, just looking on flashy things, but you're not focused on substance. But if you're looking for a life partner and not just eye candy, then you need to really find someone that you can build a godly legacy with and not just take Instagram photos with. All right. So now some people might say, so I should be attracted to my husband? Absolutely. But what I'm saying is it still has to have the right foundation. You still need like it really doesn't make sense to have a super attractive husband that treats you badly, is not a good husband, is not a good father. You don't have the foundations of a healthy marriage, but you're just focused on, am I attracted to him? Because sometimes attraction can grow, and sometimes a man can be attractive subjectively, but he just doesn't meet every single one of your preferences. Like, oh, he wasn't as tall as I want him to be. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, like, you like his face, and you think that, oh snap, is the Amazon fresh? And you think his face is okay, but it's just the height that's getting you. You understand, right? For some women, they're like, well, isn't this settling? No, it's being strategic. Okay, remember, we're not lowering our standards. We're just getting aligned, and we're just getting aligning our desires with God's wisdom about lasting marriages. Okay, that's what we're doing. Because a lot of women say is that settling, but choose one, right? If you want a perfect man, the perfect man already came, died. His name was Jesus, and he told you choose marriage or choose celibacy. Pick one. It's up to you. But if what you want doesn't want you, I guess you can settle for being single, right? But that is not making sense. So remember, standards are the foundation, character, faith, values. Preferences are the bonuses, right? The looks, the money, the status. See with God's eyes first, not with your fleshly eyes, and look for who can get the job done and trust God for the extras. All right. Now, my husband and I, we guide women from single to wifey with faith and strategy. So make sure that you do click the link in the description box if you want to position yourself as a wife and not just another girlfriend. And that's all I have for you guys. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.